So if we hijack our brains into, we only have to give it 20 minutes. It helps us when motivation is lacking, when we don't have the energy to be able to continue doing the things. Ready to crush your to-do list without the stress? Hey friends, welcome back to A Work in Progress, where we dive into all things mental fitness. I'm Kimberly, your host and biggest hype girl on this journey. Whether you're here to get focused, boost your productivity, or just find a little more balance, you're in the right place. Let's get started. If you caught the last episode, you know we dove deep into my favorite F word, focus. Today, we're going to take that a step further and talk about how to boost your productivity with some quick, practical hacks. Why does productivity matter? What's getting in your way? And how we can fix that. But first, this is your reminder to breathe. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to forget the power of intentional breathing. So let's take a moment to slow down and tune into our bodies and center ourselves in this moment. With me, exhale, relax the muscles in your face. Relax your jaw, drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth and breathe. Focus on relaxing your entire body as you exhale, releasing tension in your shoulders, letting your arms hang heavy at your side, releasing tension in your chest and belly, relaxing your legs, and breathing. Notice how your entire body and mind slows down when you take a moment just to breathe. So this is your reminder to slow down, take a moment, check in with yourself and breathe. All right, so let's get into it. So productivity isn't just about getting more done. It's about getting the right things done. When we're productive, we're more efficient with our time, which this frees up mental energy, helps to reduce stress, and makes room for what really matters in our lives. It truly is about working on those things that matter, not just busying ourselves, making life a lot easier as we go through the day and helping us to reprioritize. So last time we talked about focus, and just to remind you, some of the common barriers to productivity. Distractions is number one. We're constantly being bombarded with information, endless notifications, social media. So many distractions pull us away from doing our work, to being able to really be intentional, to be focused, and to be productive. Procrastination is another barrier to productivity. It's often linked to overwhelm or uncertainty, not to laziness, but then it starts sending us down that rabbit hole of the should, shame, blame game. So finding tools that we'll dive into soon to help reduce procrastination. Perfectionism. I know a lot of us struggle with this, that we're spending way too much time on tasks to make them perfect, which really slows us down, both mentally and physically. So we're going to find ways to keep that perfectionist in check. And fatigue, low energy makes it really hard for us to be productive. Mental fitness can help, but energy still fluctuates. So we're going to talk about ways that we can hack our energy levels when we just don't got it. So I've got 8 real quick hacks to help boost productivity. The first one is my favorite one, and one that I use often with my kids. It's the 2-minute rule. So if anything takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. As you're walking upstairs and you're passing that pile of laundry, pick it up. Take it with you. 2 minutes. If you're in the kitchen and you've got a sink full of dishes, I promise you it's not going to take you more than 2 minutes. But what you're going to gain in the offset by taking 2 minutes to do those quick hacks is going to be so much more advantageous than the 2 minutes of energy that you put into it. My next favorite productivity hack is time blocking. So when we time block, we set aside specific chunks of time for tasks like emails, like creative time, like doing the actual things, doing the work. So as I look throughout my calendar, I've got time blocks throughout my day of focused work time. And then I have time blocks of family fun time. I have time blocks for just me time. But when I'm doing the time blocking as well, I'm being intentional about what are the things that I want to do with that chunk of time. And sometimes me time is just that, right? It's less structured, but it is still being very intentional about setting that time aside, because productivity isn't just about getting more done. Remember that. It's about living well and being able to do life on life's terms, but setting aside time for you is an extraordinarily important part of that, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day. Time boxing is another great one. Time boxing, also known as the Pomodoro technique. This is where we set an amount of time. So I use this when I'm working on big projects, or use this when I just don't have the energy and the motivation to get through something. Think about cleaning your closet. And we don't know how long this project is going to take. But if you set aside 20 minutes to start, that you're going to give it your all, focused, intentional time to be productive for 20 minutes. You're going to take a break and you're going to come back to it and you're going to assess, do I have more time? Can I keep going on this project and on this task? So if we hijack our brains into, we only have to give it 20 minutes, it helps us when motivation is lacking, when we don't have the energy to be able to continue doing the things. Time boxing is one of my absolute favorite productivity hacks. You can start small and work your way up to it. So the next one is batching. Batching is grouping similar activities together, which helps to save mental energy. So if you've got a bunch of household tasks, you can use time blocking and time boxing, but you're going to do all of those things together instead of little snippets here, there, and everywhere. Or even when we're doing work, we're going to do emails and respond to interoffice communications together. So maybe it's your communication time block, but we're going to batch those tasks together so that our brains, our minds are focused on doing. Because when we can batch them together, we're going to be much more productive. Setting a daily top 3. So identify 3 key tasks to complete each day. I love doing both personal and professional. I'm a huge fan of make your bed. Every morning, I make my bed. Every morning, I unload the dishwasher. Every morning, I tidy up the house. So I'm making sure that I'm feeling productive. If nothing else goes right in my day and I don't accomplish anything else, I know that I've gotten 3 things done for the day. Similarly for work, I set out what are the 3 key tasks that I want to make sure that I accomplish for the day. It's great to have a huge punch list, but at the end of the day, we're not always able to check that off. But if we prioritize and we know that we can get 3 important things done throughout the day, we've got that sense of accomplishment. It helps us to stay in a positive state of mental well-being. All right, creating routines. We know that kids need boundaries, but so do us as adults. Routines are so important in helping to make our day run smoother, but it also helps with decision fatigue. We're constantly bombarded with decisions to make throughout the day. So if you have a solid routine, so I'll share with you my morning routine. I get up, I do devotionals, I spend time in prayer and meditation, I journal, and I have my coffee. Sometimes I get 10 minutes, sometimes I get an hour, but this helps to ground my day, and I'm taking that time for myself. I also have routines around the work that I do throughout my day. I'm split time between multiple business ventures, so I make sure that I have time to each business venture throughout my day and throughout my week as well. And then physical activity. And it's not always being so rigid, but it's creating the time to be physically active. If I can't make it to a class, I'm sure to get out and to be able to walk in my neighborhood. But having that routine to know that this is what I'm going to be doing, it helps me to maintain boundaries and maintain self-care, which is an extraordinarily important part of mental fitness. But it also just helps that decision fatigue. Again, we're constantly being forced to make decisions throughout the day. So if I know that I've got time set aside based on my routines, it's one less thing that I have to worry about. The power of no. Saying no to things that don't align with your priorities is necessary for productivity. So when you can say no, because you've got your power of 3, you've got your 3 things in front of you that you know you need to get done, it helps us to hold a boundary and to say no. When we have routines, it helps us to hold a boundary and to say no. I don't have time for this in my routine, or this is not important. So it helps with that decision fatigue, which propels us forward to be able to be more productive in the things that help us to stay in a state of mental fitness. So let's come back to some of the common barriers. So distractions. We talked about this last week in focus. Try to use apps that silence, like Freedom, or put your phone on silent during work time, during family time, or maybe put it completely out of mind. Remember those that have smartwatches too, to silence that as well, because oftentimes if it's not our phone, it's our wrist that's pinging us and competing for our attention. So be very mindful, especially when you're doing time blocking or time boxing, that you've got a system to silence the distractions. Sometimes having it silenced is not enough. You actually need to physically move it so it's out of sight, out of mind. Procrastination is a huge one. So sometimes we just don't got it. We don't have the energy. We don't have the motivation to do the things. But when we break down tasks into smaller, manageable steps, it helps to reduce overwhelm. Pomodoro technique, time boxing, is one of my favorite ones in hijacking procrastination as a barrier to productivity. When you've got a huge project, a huge task to take on, give yourself 20 minutes to get started. I think a closet, a garage is a great example. It's one of those tasks that oftentimes we know we need to do, but we neglect. So if we get started and we say we're only going to do the thing for 20 minutes, and then we get to check in and have a decision, we've done 2 things. We've started, we've created forward momentum, but we've also accomplished something within those 20 minutes. So if we can build off of that, we're going to help hijack our brain and reduce procrastination. So break it down into small, manageable steps so it's not so overwhelming. The next one is perfectionism. You need to focus on progress, not perfection. Allow yourself to make mistakes and move forward. When we can't give ourselves that grace, think about what you would say to a child or a friend, right? It's not about being perfect. It's not about getting everything right. It's about doing and it's about learning. So allowing yourself to make mistakes along the way is a beautiful part of the journey. Then you get to go back and assess and go, was the mistake that important to holding me back? And was it better just to get it done, to move forward, to feel good, and to learn from whatever we could in that? So focus on progress, letting go of perfection. And when you can't give yourself that grace, think about what you would say to a friend or a child. The next one is fatigue. So take care of your mental fitness by incorporating small breaks and self-care routines into your day. The power of that breath, right? Go back to what you felt when you did that exhale. It does not take long, but it gives you so much. Be intentional. When I first started my work in meditation, every hour of the day, I would set a reminder to do a 5-minute meditation. I didn't hit every hour, right? It was progress, not perfection. If I got 3 out of 8 or 10 of those in, I was winning because I was giving myself that moment to breathe, to recenter, to balance myself out. So think about ways that you can structure your day to be more productive, but also kinder to yourself throughout the day. So, friends, I would love to hear what some of your favorite productivity hacks are. I'm constantly trying to learn and grow and incorporate new things, and I love to learn and grow right alongside of you. So let me know, drop me a line, what resonated with you, what works well with you, what are some things that have really worked in the past, or some things that you're curious about trying. I'd love to learn and grow with you. So I appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe or follow so you never miss an update. Pass it along to a friend who might need to hear some of these little nuggets. So be sure to join me next week as we continue to build a mentally fit foundation. Until then, remember to breathe, look for the good, be the rising tide. Be well, my friends.